disruptive.
America that I fought.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Gets Corner. Been a fantastic day so far. So I am a Canadian, and sadly, and I do say this sadly, it was something that made you proud. I could still consider myself being a proud Canadian, but being in Canada at these times, it's slowly deteriorating. It's slowly breaking me down to realize the country that I knew and grew up to and, aspire by all the loveliness of what Canada represents, the identity, the heritage, the motto of Canada has just gone downhill, gone completely downhill. And it's just going further and further downhill. Not only just with the tactics of Justin Trudeau or Doug Ford or any of the corrupted politicians that we currently have in administration, but even just to a municipal level, even just city by city, it is just an ever-extending failing of our country just kind of imploding on itself. And here's just an example of that. This is a City News segment here where they're reporting on car thefts in Toronto, which is a big outbreak. Just like major other cities in the United States, crime has skyrocketed. And watch how they report on this, because this is the most insane thing. They go from acknowledging that there's huge uptake in crime in Toronto, but listen to the suggestions that the local cops are telling the people how to protect themselves.
Car thefts have become more prominent across the GTA, up nearly 25% in 2023 from the year prior. Now, police in York Region are out with a new safety tactic. Door stops have been handed out to some residents in an effort to prevent door kick break-ins to steal car keys. It's a move that has one Unionville family feeling uneasy.
So it's gotten to the point where they're actually just handing these things out to residents. That's, to me, shows that it's very high risk. I'm not sure if the whole street got it, but when I was talking to my parents about it, they said that they were handing it out to the houses that back up onto the park because they're more of a high risk area.
Ali Galinsky says her family received the door stops along with installation instructions last week, just days after police went door to door in her neighborhood handing out pamphlets on auto theft prevention.
It gives you some tips like invest in an alarm system and security cameras, install motion sensor lights, keep your windows and doors locked, trim trees and shrubbery so there are clear views from the street, and don't post vacation plans or luxury purchases on social media.
The move is part of York Regional Police's ongoing efforts to slow skyrocketing car thefts in the region, an effort which includes community engagement and education.
Community Services was involved and created pamphlets and Faraday bags, as you've seen. Those have been dispersed through our community partners.
There's also updated advice for all vehicle owners, a message echoed by Toronto Police speaking at an Etobicoke safety meeting last month. Constable Marco Ricciardi had a new message for vehicle owners who keep their fobs in Faraday pouches.
To prevent the possibility of being attacked in your home, leave your fobs at your front door, because they're breaking into your home to steal your car. They don't want anything else. A lot of them that they're arresting have guns on them, and they're not toy guns, they're real guns. They're loaded.
That's why Galinsky says they will be installing the door stops and taking YPR's advice seriously. But she'd like more action from police as well.
I'm glad they're taking initiative to try to get, in front of the problem and prevent more break-ins and possibly, the ones that are armed and stuff. You don't want anyone getting hurt. So I'm happy that they are taking action. But in terms of what I'd like to see done, at least when it's in a high-risk area, maybe more patrols.
York police say more than 4,200 vehicles were stolen from this region in 2023 alone. In Unionville, Michelle Mackey, City News.
Oh, God bless Canada. We'll imprison you for your speech. Keep your key fobs within reach. This is just, I get that car thefts have risen in the past bit, and we are trying to do everything that we can to prevent your cars from being stolen. It's just that the examples that they're giving and the obvious solutions that we could be going towards are just not connecting. Like, They're saying that, hey, we'll just give you door stoppers to some people. And then if you do get braked in, because they're just going to steal your car keys, they're not going to like rob your house of anything. It's just the car. Just throw your keys right at the front door so they can grab it. Like, it just seems the weird setup that this prevails. And it's amazing the stuff that Canada is trying to prevent. They're preventing, hate speech. They're preventing you from expressing ideas on social media. They have such tactics on that, high risk security on that. But when it comes to physical crimes, we are lacking. We are so lacking. In fact, physical crimes have skyrocketed while we're trying to go after people from expressing ideas and opinions. Well, given the fact that I'm a podcaster and I express an idea, here's an idea, just a whimsical notion of this. Maybe we can find a way to prevent criminals from happening. Maybe we can find a way that Toronto, instead of the hellscape that is now, we make it a prosperous city so that crime does deteriorate and get away from the city. That would be a smart idea. That would actually be a thought-provoking idea. Then we come up with ideas on how to make the city better for people so that crime does decrease when the city economy and the city infrastructure gets better. But we don't do that. We don't do that. We live in a society where it's the Hunger Games. You're on your own. Screw you. We may give you a little bit of help there, but in the end, you're done. You're done. And like I said, this happens primarily all over North America and so many parts of the world right now that are experiencing high crime rates. And again, it's all related to the economic stance. It's all related to the cost of living, inflation, the whole system that we put in place that is just in developing more crime sprees to happen. It's just absolute lunacy that we need to do something about it. We need to actually look at the system that's creating more criminals instead of actually preventing crimes. Because all you're doing here is just giving them a challenge. It's not really preventing the crime. It's just giving the opportunity of a challenge that the criminal has to think for a second, maybe actually be a little smart enough to actually steal your car. It's the same idea. It's the same logic that I tell people, because people come with the idea of, why don't we give teachers handguns, stop mass shooters. And I say to that, first of all, if we give teachers handguns, who's to say that the teacher might be the next mass shooter? Who's to say that they're going to be wild off and crazy and all this stuff? Shouldn't we find a way to deteriorate away from mass shooting? We did have some sort of grace period where there wasn't a high risk of mass shootings. There wasn't such a high risk. Why are we not looking into that? Why are we not looking into the fact that in a short time frame in the United States, there wasn't as many mass shootings as there could have been? I wonder why that is. And now we're just going back to the cycle. We're just going back to really just being blatant about crime. Kind of just rubbing it off your shoulder there. We're not actually doing anything to prevent crime. We're just trying to find a way to make you feel safer, but really in the end, you're still in a crime zone. So that's just crazy. That's just crazy happening here in Canada, in Toronto. And there's so many things we could be, discussing and actually fixing and resorting and problem solving, but it's just, why even bother? Why even bother? Let's just give you, door stoppers that may or may not work, and if it doesn't work, then just hand them the keys and be on the way. It's just the lunacy of some of the stuff is absolutely mind-boggling, and it just makes my head explode to the point that, it's almost like they just expect this to happen. They just expect that people are just going to eventually become criminals. They're going to create catastrophe. But it's okay. It's okay, because we penalize hate speech. So that's a good thing. According to Canada law, we prevented people from expressing opinions. But car theft, is not a problem yet, apparently. We don't need the feds to be involved. We don't need provincial governments. We don't need oversight. It's a temporary problem. But you expressing opinions on social media or having a podcast or saying anything about anything, you're considered deemed more of a threat to society than someone physically harming you. Wow. True patriot love of Canada. Again, I love being a Canadian, and I would consider myself a Canadian citizen, dear heart and true, but it comes it comes with tongue in cheek. It comes with, gritting my teeth, because the further we go along with this, the more we're losing touch with what Canada is, and it's just becoming this dystopian nightmare that people don't even recognize the Canada that we grew up with, the Canada that we fought for, the Canada that resembles all Canadians. It's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking.